Hello, and welcome to Mind and Money Show, where we talk all things mindset, money management, and our entrepreneurial journey. Along the way, we're going to throw in some amazing guests for good measure. I'm Shane Hyland.
I'm Gareth Shears. This show is going to change your life and teach you skills that school never taught you.
Boom.
Welcome, Matt.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Nice to see you guys. Thanks for the invite.
It's a lovely...
Nobody else can see us, though. Because we got no video.
We've got no video today. We are going pure old-fashioned audio.
Look at what they're missing.
Look
at what they're missing.
Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah. I've got my Christmas jumper on again, which we've been wearing one all week. It's mainly to stop myself when people say, "Where's your Christmas jumper?" Oh, yeah, sorry, I forgot it. I've just got one on.
That's a good point.
I think it is Christmas jumper day today, supposedly.
Oh, right.
That was last week.
Yeah, there was another one. It's really random. There's another one today as well. But I'm just wearing one every day. It just saves the hassle of anyone saying to me, "Where's your Christmas jumper?"
That's a good point. Maybe buy another one.
I've got loads.
He's
okay.
one every day in December.
I know.
Don't you worry.
We're out Saturday with a group of guys and
axe throwing.
Axe throwing after a few beers. Well, actually, no. I think axe throwing is before the few beers kick in. Really.
Yeah. Probably best before.
Albeit I don't drink beer anymore.
This won't be going out before we go out with them because I'm not actually that bad at darts and pool. So.
Oh, here he goes.
Oh, here we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's showing off already.
The evening will be covered. Let's put it that way.
It's
growing up in a little village in the west of Ireland with about 5,000 people and 28 pubs. You soon got to know how to have a cheap night out by
5,000 people and 28 pubs.
Yeah, there was about 28 pubs.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that feasible? Yeah, I suppose in Ireland it is.
Yeah, it was. And
a post
as
office.
of now,
that's a lot of
it's
Guinness.
down to next to nothing. It's just been decimated over the last. I'm over here 20 years, January. And
well, the pub's been turned into now nothing, just derelict.
A lot of them have gone. Yeah, it's not nice because there was two massive areas where you had 4, 5, 6 pubs in one end of town each, and then there was dot everywhere. But you knew, you could go into one pub and you'd have a beer, a pint, and then you go into the next one. So you'd never stay somewhere for 4, 5, 6 hours. You do a
Pint or two in each.
Yeah, and
56 pints later.
Yeah,
That's a hell of a pub crawl, isn't it?
Christmas time. I don't know.
Or Tuesday, as Shane calls that.
You know how we said we'd go off tangent at this, during.
We got off the tangent right at the start.
At Christmas, I don't know. I don't think it's done over here. Maybe it's done in more rural areas. If you went into the pub during the year, when you went in Christmas Eve, the owner of the pub, so it's not a landlord over here. It's not owned by breweries. It's owned by individuals. He or she would, you'd ask for a pint. That's free. So you go out Christmas Eve, you're not buying any pints.
Really?
Yeah. It's so you have to do as many pubs as you can on Christmas Eve, so everyone gets what's the correct term? Very, very drunk on Christmas Eve, because you're going into a pub that you've been in 8, 10, 20 times during the year. You go, there's 3 or 4 of you, 4 pints, Heineken, Guinness, whatever it may be, and they go, "Happy Christmas, guys," and that's it. And you go,
how nice
gone,
is that?
and you go to the next pub. So you've gone out all Christmas Eve at 11 o'clock in the morning, I may add. Yeah, it's a long day.
Those are the days. Can't do anything like that anymore.
No.
And it's free.
For the kids at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3:30 in our house.
Why do they do that? I used to do the same, so I understand.
Did you?
Yeah. 5 o'clock in the morning. Jumping on your parents' bed with a stocking.
Do you know what? The one like Callum doesn't usually kind of sleep past 6. The one Christmas day, we had to go and wake him up. It was absolutely bizarre. Absolutely bizarre. He doesn't. And then my daughter, totally different ball game. Like, you have to wake her up for nursery every morning. She's only 3 years old.
Is that right?
She's half human, half mattress. She's literally
enjoys a kip.
Loves a kip. But I dropped off nursery this morning and I chatted to the girl who kind of looks after the room she's in. I was like, sorry, she looks a bit dazed because she literally just got out of bed and I've dumped her on you. She was like, she says, all right, she loves a nap as well in the daytime. I was like, yeah, just like her father loves a nap.
Wow. Decorations all up? Talking about
Decorations are up. The kids did that in our house.
Outside ones? Do you have outside ones as well?
Yeah, we do outside ones as well.
National Lampoon's job or?
11 Christmas trees.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Are they decorated all year round? You just turn them on?
The lights have to be changed every now and again because the sort of the gardener goes through the cables and that kind of stuff, and then you have to
Got the gardener, that's posh, isn't it?
Christmas tree gardener.
Yeah.
So sometimes they need changing and organising, and then you've got to actually find the cables and the extension leads and all that kind of stuff, and you've got to get it. There's always ladders involved, and I'm not great with ladders, so it's
You're
a
not
day.
sticking the
It's a
kids up
day
in the
out.
Christmas trees.
No. It's a day out in the garden basically with a set of ladders trying to find cables.
I bet it is, yeah. Like we have the house, we have the eaves of the house lit up on ours, and in the street. It does look, while I turn it on, it's a bit like National Lampoons. It does light the street up.
You've got planes landing.
It literally.
Do you know a couple of weeks ago, everyone was talking about, I'm not putting the heating on, I'm going to put an extra jumper on, or I'm going to buy a hoodie in a shop, and I'm going to basically save on the gas and electricity. 1st of December comes, everyone is outside, bing, and the energy is going, blah, 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 and
National Grid
it's
goes into
Christmas,
freefall.
don't worry about it.
They only go on for an hour, mind those lights now. They used to go on all evening. You get turned off a lot earlier now.
Between 5 and 7.
Yeah.
The mindset of
I was going to put a timer on them.
the mindset of we can't spend a single penny, close the doors, don't put the heating on, to don't worry about it. We got 66 quid off.
Well, we've actually gone around the house with a pen and paper, switching lights on and off, and systems and washing machines. And my wife is in the kitchen shouting out how many kilowatts that's using on the screen, so we know what use. And we've gone really anal about the whole thing, just because we use.
What uses the most?
Car.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
the car, charging the car. But second to
Great
that,
them just having a charger point, put it on the house.
yeah,
Buy a diesel car.
Yeah, but what you can do, you see, is you can, remember the old Economy 7 heating,
Yeah.
where they heat the bricks up overnight during the cheap
I
period.
had a flat, an apartment in Cardiff Bay. Exactly.
Brilliant. They're amazing systems. But you can now switch over to an Economy 7 rate, which is like 7.5 pence a kilowatt. And every machine in your house has a timer on it, from a dishwasher to a washing machine to a tumble dryer to your ovens to your car to everything else has timers on it. So we run everything on timers overnight.
What do you know?
We also have oil radiators on the walls, which are timers overnight. So they heat the house through the night and then retain some of the heat in the morning. So everything runs overnight and keeps the bill small.
Well,
I was going to ask one of the questions
some savvy
later on about
saving, that
know
is.
your numbers, but that's
that-
proper know your
that's-
numbers.
Next thing now is to get some batteries to store the energy at night. So when the cheap energy goes off,
Yeah.
the batteries are then feeding everything into through the rest of the day, hopefully until the cheap energy then kicks back in at
Yeah.
night.
And they're not massively expensive.
No.
People think they are, but I know
Well,
one
the
of my
battery
neighbours.
storage.
Yeah, I don't think they are. They're hugely expensive. You think they're
Just having somebody to store them, I guess. Isn't
yeah.
It?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but generally it's they're not that big, and power's not. It's not going to get cheaper, is it?
Nope.
It's not actually going to go down in price. So
No, it's not.
So it's a good time to invest, I think.
That's good. I like that.
Energy storage.
Yeah, that's so. Because I know a few people who've got like solar panels, but the problem is they got no batteries to store it on, so it's not really
Yeah, I think you had to have the
that
two. Really,
beneficial.
didn't
You do
So
need the two, don't you? Really,
Yeah.
to get the benefit out of it.
You
is to
get
store
the
it
snow off them first thing in the morning.
Yeah, that'll be the worst thing at the moment, especially up in Caerphilly. No one else seems to have had snow apart from us at the moment. It's still pretty thick up there.
Thursday night is our bin night, putting stuff out, and when I go out the back bifold door, as soon as I open it, my wife shouts, "Close that door! You're letting the heat out or the cold in." And I've had to open it. I have to open it to bring the boxes out.
Yeah.
So Monday night, one of my boys' mothers came along. They wanted a ticket for the show, their Christmas show, and she said, "I won't come in because the kids are in the car." So they stood on the front door for about 12 minutes with the door open.
Oh, no.
So I shouted out 3 times, "What about the cold coming in?" Like you say to me, she, "Oh, don't be so grumpy." So I grabbed her big jacket. I pushed her out the front door. I said, "There you go, there's your jacket," and I closed the door on her. She came in 20 minutes later and she went, "You're a miserable." I said, "You give out to me for opening the back door for 4 seconds. You've been out there for 12 minutes.
You need like a decompression chamber.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you do, don't you?
Between the
you need
kitchen-
you need
a porch.
A porch.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it was, isn't it? An old-fashioned porch. That's exactly what you need. So I think that's effectively what it was for, a porch. You don't see many of
And
those.
for putting your shoes in.
Yeah, basically, and they just pile high.
Yeah.
And then,
You trip over your shoes.
Yeah, exactly.
And then over the step.
And
of
the
the
kids will
porch.
just throw in there their jackets. Everything will just get thrown in the hallway.
It's like a big cupboard.
And they
It'd
don't
It'd be great
walk
now
through-
because
they don't
Amazon
care.
and DPD and all that would actually leave the stuff inside a door rather than just throwing it on your front doorstep.
What happened to porches? Do people still have porches?
Don't see many of them, do you?
No, I haven't seen a
There'll be
porch in a
some
while.
houses. I'm trying to think. I haven't been to a house with a porch. Oh, I did actually recently. Up in Penturk.
Is that a business idea?
Probably.
I think that ship has sailed.
You will for this. Matt, let's.
Yes.
So I guess. So you exited your last company 2 years ago now.
I did, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so what's the job title now?
So my job title these days is, I don't really have a job title to be honest, but I have my own property business, landlord and investor, I suppose. And we, I exited my business a couple of years ago because not because I planned to, but because I needed to.
Yeah.
So it wasn't something where I'd gone through a process of a year to then step away and immediately jump on a plane and go to a beach. Mine was to step back and help with a very difficult situation I had with one of my daughters who's very ill. So very much different to what I was expecting an exit to look like. But then, that was just the way it was at the time. So these days I'm an investor and a landlord, and I have been for 20 years, since the day I started my business back in 2000. Even before that, I was invested in property.
Yeah.
Just small amounts when I could afford it. And over the years, I've kept on doing that all the way through, just when I've had spare cash. Sometimes I haven't, a lot of the time I've not had spare cash to do that because the business has required money or lifestyle has required money or something else. But slowly but surely, bit by bit, whenever I've managed to pull a chunk aside and build up enough, as soon as I see enough there to buy a property, it goes straight into bricks and mortar. Just because I'm really paranoid. You know what cash is like; it comes and goes. And as soon as it arrives, how often have you had a payment into your bank account and 5 minutes later it goes back out the other side? And my theory was, if I can teach myself to live on the minimum amount of money without affecting my lifestyle, and everything else I can put into investments, i.e. bricks and mortar or savings investments like ISAs and pensions, then I can't spend that money. I can watch it grow, but I can't physically go and spend it. And it's too easy when it's in the bank to physically go and spend. Not that I've not ever done that. I have. I used to be, I used to be a big spender. I'm not a big spender anymore, apart from when I buy properties. In fact, my shopping section on my phone is Rightmove and Amazon, and that's it. I don't have anything else on there.
Brilliant. No, but it's a good thing, and obviously you've learned some lessons, I guess, over the years, haven't you, with regards to all that stuff. So, kind of like you kind of mentioned, you've kind of bought property over the last 20 years, stuff like that. Let's take us back to kind of where it all kind of began, I guess. And the journey to where you kind of are now, I guess. Yeah.
So once I finished college, I wanted to get into finance. I wasn't particularly intelligent or had particularly good grades, so I went to work for a life insurance company, a company called Lincoln Life, selling pensions and investments, and I was bloody terrible at it. And I really couldn't cope with it, to be honest. So I was going to go to France, where I previously lived, and head over there. So I thought I'd just get a job quickly to pay off my student loans, and once that's done, I'll head off out to France. And I went to the recruitment office, and they found me a job in a company called First National Bank. In First National Bank, I started selling second charge loans, and that's where I learned all about second charge loans. I never ended up in France in the end. I ended up meeting my business partner in the same bank, and we started a company called Yes Loans and Mortgages, and that was back in 2001. On pretty much the same day the planes went into the towers, actually, on that fateful day, September 11th. So really, as tough as it was for us to have set up and started a business on that day, and everything we lost as a result of it, there were people losing a lot more than we were, in terms of not financially. So it was one of those periods. It was a horrible period in time, and we nearly went bust straight away, but we managed to switch the business formats into something slightly different, i.e. working with brokers and getting broker-introduced leads, and build the business from there. So I think there were two of us at the time, never planning to grow the business any bigger than that, really, just the two of us, and just trying to do as much business as we possibly could. And sort of 5 years later, I sort of turned around and there was sort of 90 people sat behind me going, what do we do? What do we do today? Wow. More of the same as you did yesterday, please. So that was around the credit crunch time, just before the credit crunch. We were approached a couple of years beforehand by a company that wanted to pay us extra big commissions and extra big bonuses for doing business with them. But they wanted all of our business, so we gave the vast majority of our business to this particular company. And we were doing very, very well. I mean, we were making a lot of money for kids who had really made nothing before. And it was all a bit surreal. It was all a bit fantastical. That company was called Lehman Brothers.
Oh, wow.
So not long afterwards, in September, things started to go very pear-shaped. But this was after sort of six or seven good years in business. Going from 0 to 25 million pound value. Wow. And then the whole thing basically went nosedived and became a completely different business for many years, as it did with all of us who went through that period of time. So that was the initial part of where we came from.
Wow. So I actually joined the industry in the January after the credit crunch.
Oh, right. Okay.
The worst time.
Worst time ever, but the greatest.
I kind of like
Zero expectation.
No, exactly that. And I got so what happened was, at the time I was in the police. I was a police officer.
Oh, okay.
I kind of became a bit disgruntled by it. And a friend of mine said, well, you've always been interested in finance. Why didn't you get into doing mortgage broking? Obviously, there was this big crest of a wave, wasn't there, in 2007 or whatever. In 2008, but I committed myself to doing it. I'd done all the qualifications. I was fully qualified financial advisor, actually, but I came out and started doing mortgages, and I thought, well, I've made my bed.
May as well line it.
I'm going to line it. So I left a paid, secure job to be self-employed overnight as the credit crunch hit.
You're a madman.
I know, a lot of people said that. But what are we now, 15 years on?
And here you are.
I'm still here.
Here we are.
Yeah.
Time has just flown by.
It does.
Time has just flown by.
Yeah. I mean, 20 years I ran my business, and when I eventually stepped away, I was 20 years into a 5-year plan. Yeah. So,
but that must mean then you. I know there's always going to be rough and smooth and that, and there's going to be peaks and troughs, and it's a roller coaster. But it must mean if the 20 years has gone that quickly, you've enjoyed it.
Oh yeah, very much so. Yeah, I had the best time of my life. Yeah, it was just the most fabulous career I could have ever possibly asked for. It was built. We built it ourselves. Everything was driven from the front, and I quickly worked out when I was employed. I wasn't employed for long, 2 or 3 years, and when people were getting promoted, other people were getting promoted beyond me, and I was thinking, what have I done wrong? I know I'm doing okay. I know I do everything as people are supposed to do. I'm hitting my targets, and I just realised that I just was clearly an unpromotable person.
Yeah.
For some reason, somebody was always in favour with the boss, and I wasn't, and other people would get promoted. And I thought, well, the only way to do this is to promote myself, and I've just got to keep promoting myself, and that's what I've done ever since. I found it's the best way.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody's going to argue with you.
So you mentioned earlier, like you started a business, had no plans. You and Barney, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. Me and Barney. Yeah.
No
Barney
real
runs the company now. Barney's CEO. Yeah.
No plans on really kind of growing it any more than just the two of you, and then suddenly you say you're surrounded by 90 people. What was that like?
I mean, just like this.
Was it literally like that?
Fast, really, really fast. I mean, you're sat in the office and you think, well, actually, I'm getting a bit busy here. I need to bring an admin on. Yeah. So you bring in an admin. Then the admin says, well, my sister's an admin as well, and I'm getting really busy. And we're like, well, bring your sister in as well. And then they've got a friend who's pretty good at sales in a telephony company around the corner. Then we went to buy a TV in Curry's, and the guy who sold us the TV was really good, so we brought him on board as well. Then we bought some BlackBerries from Vodafone, and the guy who sold us the BlackBerries, we took him on board as well because he was a really good salesman. And he had a mate who also sold BlackBerries who wanted to, and it just went like that, And before you know it, there was just this huge group of young, determined, motivated people in a business which we built, the kind of business that we would have wanted to work in ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, uncapped bonuses,
Yeah.
parties, all of the fun things they have in a business, and all the stuffiness taken away.
Yeah.
And of course, that just ended up in complete and utter chaos. It was brilliant fun.
Who ran your HR department?
We didn't have HR department.
You couldn't have had
I was
one.
going to say
back
you
then.
couldn't have had one.
We did have one. We got rid of it.
Yeah.
I would say you probably had
They were
to.
too overworked.
It was
Complaints.
too much hassle. I'm not sure the same format would work today, but it was a great format, and it launched hundreds of careers in South Wales. You know,
Wow.
I think we employed. I mean, up to the point where I exited the business, we'd employed over 1,000 people over 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot of people. That's most of
That is
Cardiff.
a lot of people. Yeah, well, yeah, that is a lot of people. Do you know what I mean? As an employer, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and you see people everywhere now. Oh yeah, how you doing? Hi, how you doing? Whenever you're out and about.
Wow.
How do you go from a two-man band, kind of, let's give this a go? We have kind of no experience. Maybe we have an idea. We know we have it. We think we know what we're doing. Let's just go with it and, you know, make decisions on the fly and kind of go, oh, we got that wrong, but that's not something we got wrong. It's just something that didn't go right. We've learned from it, move on. And then, like you say, 60 months later, whatever, you just turn back and you go, we got 90 odd people that we're responsible for.
Yeah. How'd you do it?
Where?
Have you ever seen the cartoon where the train is running along and they're building the track? They're throwing the track down in front of them as the train is speeding along. That's how we did it.
Is that like every business? You just kind of go, let's just go with it, and you just get swept up in it, and it just things just happen. You want them to happen, and you hope they happen, but they just do.
I mean, the market was going like this as well. You know, pointing upwards.
Yeah.
The market was with us, and so when you jump into the jet stream, as long as you're prepared to fly and not worry about where you're going to land, then it's just, isn't it? I had nothing else to do. So I thought I may as well jump.
Yeah, what did you have to lose? Do you know what I mean?
Nothing. I didn't have anything to lose. I had nothing to start with.
Yeah, that's it.
The problem is when it got to a certain point, then there was everything to lose,
and that's
the problem.
Yeah. And that's when you've got to decide: is it my time to go or not?
Exactly right.
Because I've seen it. Like, so one of my clients who was in property, he kept going and going and going, and actually got that
crossover point,
was going for this exit figure in his mind, but then I want to go again.
Yeah.
But almost got caught in one of those type of TV program things which could have ruined it all.
Oh, really? Okay, we were offered one of those and we turned it down.
But it didn't. Do you know what I mean?
We were offered one of those, we turned it down, and thank goodness we did. One of those documentaries about financial companies.
Yeah.
Wow.
I thought it'd be a great
Sounds
idea.
good, but I presume they open up all the cupboards and can find a skeleton, and somebody will say something
things
negative.
come out of the closet of maybe some of those 1,000 employees you had, then suddenly give their story, which
and it gets amplified.
Exactly.
It gets taken out of context, and
so. Yeah, and that's kind of it, and it's kind of like he luckily got past that, and then it's exited, so it's kind of fine. But that was that point of it could have all gone.
Yeah. I mean, what I discovered over the years is that I was not particularly good at selling businesses. I was good at starting businesses, investing in businesses, finding people who I could see the glint in their eye and think, well, that person, there's something there. Let's invest in that person, or even if you're bringing them on as an employee, or whatever that person is, or whatever the business opportunity is. Very, very good at doing that. And you're always sort of planning for the big number at the end. And what I realised, and I'm 47 years old. Started a business at 25 years old. But what I realised over the years is that instead of having that one big goal to go for, if you just keep building your wall as you're going along, bit by bit, and for me that was property, and later on other investments. Bit by bit, building the wall, and I sort of looked back on my portfolio, which I'd built, which I never touched. I never touched any of the money for years and years and years. And sort of when I exited and I looked back, I thought, wow, this. I obviously I knew what the portfolio was bringing in, because that was one of the reasons I knew I could walk away from the business and relax and know that I didn't need additional money to survive, and whatever money I had I was able to use then to buy more property. But I really didn't know how much value there was in the portfolio until I sat back and physically, because I didn't have time as a CEO of the business.
Yeah,
I didn't have time to look at my portfolio. I barely even checked the rents were being paid. There was some people living in houses where they hadn't paid the rent for 3 or 4 months.
Wow.
Because it just wasn't checking.
Yeah.
Fortunately, very, very few. And they paid me up, which was good. But as running an organisation with 140 odd staff.
Yeah.
You haven't got time to sit down and go through your bank account and check that Sue and Ray have paid their £650 rent.
So that just ran in the background then?
Just ran in the background, yeah. It just ran in the background. I checked, I checked every now and again and did everything I did. And, whenever there's a problem with all my properties, problems get fixed straight away. A telephone call's made and the problem is sorted. There's no question about it. So I've got very, very good tenants and the properties are all decent. There's nothing is... There's no shocking properties. All my properties are up to scratch, and I think I've only got 2 in my entire portfolio which actually need development. So,
that's good.
And they're ones where you've got long-term tenants in. You just physically can't do anything because the tenant is in there. So for me, it's all about keeping the quality up there. But in terms of residual income from the business, I knew I could step away and not have to worry about that, and still have not earn anything like I was earning previously in running finance companies, But there's a question: how much do you actually need? And we've discussed this before we started recording. How much do you actually need? For me, the figure was I already had everything I wanted in life, within reason. And I didn't really need to think about going and buying things. And for me, it's always about being at home with my family and being visible 24 hours a day for the first time in forever.
But that's being wealthy then, isn't it? When they talk about, you invest in yourself long term, and wealth is not just about money. Wealth can be about, you've a wealth of time. So
time is the
wealthy,
biggest.
Time-wise, to be able to step back and spend that time with the family and watch them grow up, rather than working all the hours known to man to build more money, which potentially is just increasing the property portfolio or the bank accounts.
That's exactly right. It's a strange thing, So being at home 24 hours a day with my wife and children, I thought would be a really tough thing, but it's been brilliant. It's been absolutely brilliant. I've loved it. I've loved every minute of it.
Every minute of it.
Every minute. I mean, I have, yeah. I really have. Genuinely, I really, really, really.
Your wife enjoyed being all the time as well.
She does, yeah. And a lot of people say that. A lot of people say I can't. A lot of people say I could never imagine Matt have walked away from working 8 to 10, 12, 14 hours a day, whatever was required.
Were you generally a long hour work?
Not really, not particularly, no. This 5 a.m. club and all that kind of thing, I can see why people do it, but it's not for me,
I don't think it's for a lot of people. I don't think it's for a lot of people, right?
Yeah,
unless you go to bed at 9 o'clock or sleep at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Like I need to have a nap at 11 if I woke up that kind of early.
I see the 5 a.m. club a bit like the New Year's resolution in January and the dieting. It's a bit of a fad.
I wonder how many people actually stick to it.
Yeah, people jump on it, and 3 weeks in they go, it's cold. I'm not going to the gym at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'll go at 7:30, and it slowly fizzles out.
And the jumping in cold water thing.
Yeah, I don't get that.
Yeah, I'm intrigued though. I gotta say,
what the Wim Hof breathing and all that.
There's a lot of science. There's a lot of science and studies behind the benefits of it.
I'm not going to do it, by the way.
No,
I'm intrigued by it.
Well, I did a phase of the kind of 30 seconds at the end of your shower, ice cold.
Right.
Yeah. I did that for about 6 months. I don't know whether I'm just one of these strange people, right? So, I'll get to the point where this is going now in a second. But things that I didn't really see any benefits from it, right? I don't find caffeine has an effect on me.
I do.
I don't see. So there's a lot of things like that I don't kind of do. I don't know. I'm just one of those weird people that if someone kind of says everything, maybe my mind doesn't buy into it. That's why it doesn't work. But I don't have the effect coffee. The cold thing didn't do anything for me. I mean, getting up early isn't the thing for me. I'll just get what I naturally kind of get up.
There's a podcaster. I commented on LinkedIn the other day, actually, because I love doing the comments and meeting people through the comments. It's a great way to build up the profile.
Oh, yeah.
But there's a guy who, he's a podcaster. I'm not sure where he's based, Nottingham, and we've connected and had a chat since. But But he jumps in his wheelie bin every morning at 5 o'clock in the morning, full of ice cold water.
A few people do that.
Yeah, in a wheelie bin.
I know guys who've got these proper tanks out in the garden. Do you know what I mean? Where they're breaking ice at this time of year.
I can understand that, but jumping in your wheelie bin?
I know.
Yeah, I mean, how brave is he? You know, really brave.
I'm sure he's cleaned it.
I'm sure he's cleaned it.
I'll tell you what. If somebody
wheelie bin's got bloody holes in it.
gives us 300 quid for charity, will we jump in a cold
wheelie
bath in February?
I'd do it.
I'd do that.
There you go.
I'll always do the plunge pools if I go to like a spa.
No.
In
a full ice bath. If somebody gives 300 to 500 quid in a
I'd do that.
as a donation to something, let's jump into it in February.
I'm a
When it
big
gets a
fan.
bit warmer.
Sign me up for that. I'll do that.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Because I'm intrigued. It'll at least satisfy my intrigue.
I know. If it's a good friend of mine who does it regularly, and that's the kind of thing he like promotes and that type of healthy living and doing that. But it's a hell of a commitment, to get outside in the freezing cold and sit in that bath for 2-3 minutes.
Amazing.
But some people kind of live by that type of stuff. But
going back to the 5 a.m. thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I never, before I had kids, I don't think I ever got out of bed before 8 o'clock in the morning.
No.
And I managed to build a decent business and made decent money. And I still struggle to see the 5 a.m. thing. But, I appreciate that people do that and it works for them. That's great.
But I don't think a lot of these people, this 5 a.m. thing is for the people who don't have kids and don't particularly have many commitments.
I think that might be the case for the vast majority of those people. Yeah,
I kind of see it, and I do think a lot of it. You see these people spouting on about it. They make out they're these millionaires on social media, and they do the 5 a.m. club. But to be honest, they haven't got a pot to piss in, have they? And they're just making it up, aren't they? Do you know what I mean?
It is.
There's no substance behind it.
It is a bit of an attempt to PR, isn't it? On some sort of social media, going taking a picture outside the gym or whatever.
Then they'll sell them a course then on how to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Talking about 5 a.m. and stuff. What was the very start of it? What was the motivation for the two of you? And did that motivation ever change in any way when kids came along, or as the ride? You've had September 11, you've had the credit crunch crash, but there had to be still motivation from day one and when the things went wrong.
Motivation from day one was to pay my mortgage and to make money. Everybody says they do it for the clients, they do this and that, but the fact is, the reason you start a business is because you need to generate income to pay your bills.
I say this all the time.
Yeah.
People go, I've done it because I want to bring world peace.
No, you don't. No, you want to furnish your bank accounts.
Of course you do. World peace doesn't pay your mortgage.
That's right. Yeah. I wish it did. So yeah, the main motivation for starting out in business was to generate as much income as we possibly could for ourselves. As things went along, we became a market leading business, which had its own mission, and the money became a secondary. Even though the money was obviously really important to us because we had huge bills to pay in the business as well. The money was side by side with the mission that we were doing, and that sounds a bit corny, but the bottom right hand figure on the accounts every month was the most important thing in the world. You had to remain solvent, and the bigger those numbers were, the better. But generating enough business to survive is one thing, and then building a business which really sort of changed the face of what we were doing, which was quite a sort of dirty sort of cloak and dagger business, and sort of opening up the format and not just doing everything based on rates and we work with this bank and we have this rate. It was all about the service that we were delivering to mortgage brokers and independent financial advisors that gave us business, and that's how we sort of built up the name of the business. So that was the main motivation was 100% pound notes to start with, and kind of changed along the way. But it's still the same. It's money driven. It's a money driven business. Yeah, but we're in the finance game. That's what we do.
Exactly. You got to.
We're in the finance game.
But I don't think there's many businesses out there who are not in that. Do you
know what I mean? And there was a second level for me from the start, which was I wanted to earn money so that I could put that money into buying properties. And whether that be one property a year, one property every 3 years, or 10 properties in a year, that was always my goal, was to generate earned money and turn that into residual passive income.
Yeah, from bricks and mortar.
Into bricks and mortar. And my plan was never to retire at 45 years old, by the way. That was just something which happened to me. But I don't know whether it was...
It's not retirement, it's a change of career.
Change of career. Retire from finance.
Yeah.
Retire from finance. It's kind of a change of career. The difference with this career that I have now is that I don't physically have to do anything on a daily basis unless I want to. You know,
Do you think you will?
Yeah, I mean, each day I find a lot of stuff to do, and most of it's based around my kids.
Yeah.
I probably spend 4 hours a week running my property business, unless we've got a new project on. If we've got a new project on, I like to be in there. I like to see what's going on. I don't have to be there. When I first exited my company and I started buying more and more properties, I went out and bought myself a tool bag and some working boots, and I sort of turned up on the job and I said to the guys, "Right, what should I do?" And they were like, "Go to McDonald's to get some coffees." So
Chief labourer.
So very quickly hung up my boots, literally.
Yeah.
And I realised that the invoices I was getting from my subcontractors were the same whether I was helping or not. So, so I just didn't bother.
Exactly.
So I just manage and direct the proceedings and make sure that everybody's where they want to be, and applying all the knowledge of running finance companies and running processes and all the good stuff, and making the jigsaw fit very closely. And as a result of these subcontractors I work with, they really enjoy working on my jobs because they know everything's going to be in place, everything's going to be ready. They're not going to be dilly-dallying around looking for this and waiting for this person to finish. It's all programmed and planned to within, a few days. I never spend more than 4 weeks on a project before it goes out to be rented, before a property goes out to be rented, i.e. from the completion of the mortgage to the finish, to the refurbishment going through. It's got to be 4 weeks start to finish.
Yeah.
I never make an offer on a property unless I know I can go through with it. So I've built up lots of good friends with agents, and they know that they can, the vast majority of the properties which I buy come to me from the black book rather than being put onto the market. Just because you build that trust. You build the trust with the agent. And there's a lot of people that go in and out of these agents' black books, and if you say you're going to buy a property and you're just kicking tires and you're not,
Eventually
you're just going to get, they're going to rub your name out and put somebody else's name in there.
Yeah, exactly.
So if I know if I don't have the capital to buy something, or I'm not in a position to do it, I won't even look. I'll just pass on it straight away.
Still buying then?
Well, did my last property. My last property's just rented 2 days ago. We did an open day 2 days ago and rented straight away, which is great. They're going to be moving in just before Christmas. I'm moving out to moving abroad for after Christmas until next summer. So we're going to sort of try the European lifestyle, living on the not living on the beach, not literally, but living near a beach somewhere. And
5 a.m. runs on the beach.
5 a.m. runs. I'll be up at 5 every morning. Back in bed by 6.
Warmer climate.
Yeah. So that's the plan for next year. So I'm not gonna do any until at least I come back in probably summer next year. That's my plan, and that's a good point. That's a good time to see what's going to happen with interest rates and the various products. I think the market will have settled a bit more between now and then. Yeah. I still think it's a great time to buy. It's a brilliant time to buy as long as you're buying at the right price.
Yes,
it is always a great time to buy. For me, I've gone pretty hard in the last couple of years on my portfolio, and I'm happy where it is. So I'm just going to I'm going to leave it for other people to buy at the moment.
There's I just saw this morning, looking on the Times digital thing on my app. I think there's so much misunderstanding at the moment because they put out a post, the Times, by one person 4 days ago, and saying it's the biggest crash in the property market since 2008, and today they said house prices they're up X amount in 2022. So in the space of 4 days, the same publication has put out two contrasting reports, and people are thinking, is it a good time to buy? Is it a bad time? Nobody has a clue.
It's a tough thing for the layman,
because the normal lay person doesn't understand, because they're being fed so much misinformation on everything.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, mediocre headlines don't sell papers, unfortunately. Don't sell apps and downloads, however it is these days.
Negative events will service. That's what it stands for.
Yeah. I mean, I read one the other day saying house prices have dropped by 30%. I mean, where's the figures around that? I think
where's that?
I read it the other day somewhere. 30%. I was like, well, hang about. 12% was the number after the 2007 recession, and that was when the banks were physically pulling funding, and we were in a completely different affordability situation with self-certificated mortgages and really lending to people who we shouldn't have lent to in many cases. Today is just not that case, So
it's not.
And affordability is.
And it's crazy. Like we did a podcast on the interest rates, and the average base rate since like 1975 is like 9%.
Is that right?
Yeah.
9%?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because like I looked at when I was born in 1978, November, and it was 13.5% in that month. But if it only really started to come down rapidly when the credit crunch hit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And like prior to that, you were looking at the base rate was around about 6%, 5-6%.
They have said though, what's the people that were born in the kind of late 90s to that? Is that the Gen Z or Gen?
Oh, don't even start with
Gen
that.
X?
They've said somewhere the last day on some social media news or something like that these people, when they got to 17, 18, have had 15 odd years of low interest rates. They know no different, and all of a sudden it's gone up, and everyone's going, oh, will it go back to normality? And a lot of people saying,
this is normality.
This is normality. What you've had since you were an adult kind of
normal.
wasn't.
No.
So this is, and people go, oh.
But the problem is wages haven't kept track with the price of property. You did those figures, didn't you, on a webinar that we did recently, is that actually wages haven't kept up with the way property's gone up in value. So, but the affordability calculators of 4 to 5 times income have stayed the same, but we've been stretching. So it is a lot harder now.
It's tough. And what can you do about that? There's very little you can do about that.
But the
Apart from saving more money.
savvy property investor like yourself will understand, a bit like that graph we have there, that far too many people will try and sell out when things are going down, and people that understand what they're doing, be it an investment market or a property market, will understand that it's going down in long term. It has to come back up again. I'm quite happy to buy when there's a sale on.
Of course.
And the non-savvy person does it the opposite way and sells you the investment or the property at a lower price, and you go, yeah, I'll take that. Thank you.
I mean, it's, the same amount of money is always there, isn't it? It just depends whose hands it's in.
Absolutely.
At the time.
Yeah.
I mean, if anyone's going out there and buying buy-to-let properties in the next 6 months, and I do, so I've got my own consulting firm as well, just to keep my brain ticking over. Where people come to me and ask me, oh, can you show me how to invest in property? And you see so many car crashes out there, so many nightmare scenarios with people, and you're thinking, why have you done it that way? So part of what I do is to show people how not to make those silly mistakes. And anyone who's buying at the moment, it's got to be 10% under whatever the asking price is right now, including whatever refurbishments have to go on as well. And don't get hooked on one particular property. Go and see 3, 4, 5, 10 properties, offer on 3. You're going to find someone who needs to sell, and you're not doing that person a disservice. No. You're actually helping them out of a situation which they need to get out of.
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody's going to benefit and somebody's going to lose, and there will always be those situations. And if it's not you that's going to win, somebody else is going to win as a result. Yeah. So
and you have got to be savvy with it. And I think, and this is the danger I see out there. Like, you're what I class as a experienced professional, like, landlord. You know it, you've done it, you even know it from the finance side as well. But people are taking instruction and learning from people on social media who actually, there was one I looked at one a while back who was like promoting, I do all this, got all this property. So I did some research. He has no charges on any limited companies
there's
under
a lot
his
of that.
name.
Yeah.
So he actually probably still lives with his parents or rents a property, doesn't actually own a property, and he's professing to be a property expert when all he's doing is reading what someone else has written in a book, teaching what's written in a book, and that's the danger.
If you can get away with it, and he can make money, then
well, they are. Some of these people are.
I know, it's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy.
Like
I get people come to me all the time saying, "I really want to invest in property, but I have no money whatsoever. How can I do it?" And I say, "Well, there's a way. There's a way you can do it. You need to stop thinking about investing in property, and you need to go make some money first. And then start. And we all know there's a number of courses out there where they'll teach you God knows how many ways to
all this rent to rent and
and it's crazy. You can't do that. You need to be able to put your skin in the game. You need to be able to put your pound of flesh in.
Like I was chatting to somebody the other day who was like got 6 like rent. Oh yeah, I rent them off the landlord. And we rent them out. And I'm like, do you not own any of them? No. I was like, Does the landlord know you're doing that? And does their mortgage lender know that's what they're doing? Because when they're committing insurance fraud, if that burns down, probably the insurance isn't going to cover you either.
Yeah. What about repossession?
Yeah,
What about
exactly.
getting that property back.
Yeah,
It's
And
who's taking who to court.
but that's being taught so much. I can't get my head around that type of stuff. And a lot of them talk about joint venturing with people, which I kind of get. If you haven't got the cash, you can find someone who's going to stick the cash in. Some of my most successful landlord clients, that's what they started, by borrowing money off their mates.
Yeah, I did. I don't teach anybody to. If anybody comes to me, as I say, and says, I have no cash, show me how to do it, I'll say no. But that's exactly how I started.
Yeah.
I paid for my first deposit with a credit card.
Yeah.
So because I had zero.
No, I know people have done that and built successful.
Imagine if anyone did that now. Jeez.
Yeah. MBNA credit card checks.
Wow.
I paid for my first deposit, my first property.
Do you think then, because you know the property market from the finance side, and is that the go-to, and has that always been the go-to for you, other than the normal that we see financial side of it, of the investment or the pension? Was the property always the go-to with the spare cash?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, because that was the market which, I'm not 150 feet away from here. I spent 20 years sat in a chair, process it, and we processed under my watch £4-5 billion worth of mortgages, and a lot of those were for buy-to-let loans. Thousands and thousands of mortgages. So you would see what these investors were doing and how they were doing it, and it just made sense, didn't it? It just made sense. If you hang about, I've got a mortgage company here. Hang about, I'm making some spare cash. Yeah. Why don't I buy some properties? But I was doing that anyway, and I think having the financial knowledge is a big positive to buying properties, as you guys will know.
Yeah.
And properties, you can make £100 a month, you can make £0 a month, you can make £600 a month of a property, and the difference between what you make or what you buy the property at and what you should buy the property at, how much you spend on refurbishment, what mortgage rate you get in, and how much you're renting that property out at, and what kind of property you're renting. That's what makes the cash flow, isn't it? That's what makes the profit. And so many times I see people taking out mortgages which they shouldn't have taken out because they're too expensive.
Yep.
They're spending too much on refurbishment. They've paid too much for the property, and they're renting it for not as much as they should be renting it for, because they're renting it to their mate for 150 quid a month less or two. And what's happening? Your profit is just getting skinnier and skinnier and skinnier and skinnier. Every time you cut off a layer, you're just literally trimming.
Those 4 points have a massive impact on the bottom right.
And when interest rates go up like they are, that's when you see the real pain.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that's where, and I've said this for a while, is that if we have a shift in the market, that's going to affect the accidental landlords quite severely.
Yeah.
Especially with the change in the tax rules. Do you know what I mean? Some of these people, you're going to have to pay tax on money they're not making money on anyway.
Well, I get so many people come to me saying, can you help me with my property business? I've bought 2 properties, and I'll say, the first thing I'll say to them is, how did you buy those properties? Did you set up a limited company? What did you do? Oh no, I didn't have a limited company, so I just went out and bought them in my name because they were, and straight away you're in a difficult situation because you can't unwind that without it costing a lot of money. And depending on the situation, the first thing I'll generally say to the person is, if you're going to continue doing this, you need to set up a limited company and buy them through an SPV.
Yeah.
You may leave those 2 properties where they are, or it may make sense now to move them into the SPV. The quicker you do it, though, the less it's going to cost you.
I've had that conversation with many clients, who've come to me after they've bought a handful.
Take the hit now.
After they've come
pull
to
your
me,
belt tight.
But the crazy thing is, I have clients come to me and I'm like, I've got 2 so far. I'm going to continue building the portfolio. Okay, are they owned a limited company? No, they're not. Right. Have you got an accountant? Yeah, we have. Okay, why is he not had that conversation with you? Did you have that conversation? Is this going to be a one-off, or are you going to buy a series of properties? Exactly. Oh yeah, we told him to buy a series of properties. Well, why didn't he? And the problem is 90%. Actually, I'm going to go out on a limb. 99% of accountants are just bookkeepers.
Yeah, agreed.
They're not tax advisors. And I think like the likes of ourselves and likes of you have a lot to give to people like this, to say, well, actually, a very simple thing is put it in a limited company.
Yeah, I mean, there's I teach all of the students that come to me. I'll call them students, clients. I have a 10-step process, and step number 8 is going out looking for properties.
Yeah.
There's a lot of steps to complete before that, and those steps, please don't go to step number 8 before you've done 1 to 7, because you're going to get into a real tangle, and you're going to be on the back foot, chasing your tail, trying to find finance. You'll be paying through your nose in tax. You'll be making a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
And those mistakes, they don't get cheaper over the years. They get more expensive as the property goes up in value and you pay more tax, etc. It just becomes more and more expensive.
How many people go out? They've been left 32.5 grand by their aunt, and the first thing they do is go out and buy another property to rent out because they want to make some passive income
In their name.
Bang. Yeah.
Yeah. Happens a lot.
But I have a conversation with they come to me, I'm going to buy one or two, and that's going to be it. Don't bother.
Better off in pensions and
don't bother.
ISAs. And
they're like, well, why not? Because the restrictions, the rules, the tax, all the things that have come in, like what's just come in now in December, it just makes it harder and more costly to run it.
Yeah.
You either need to decide I'm going to start building a portfolio, or I'm not going to bother.
Yeah,
it's not passive income until you get to a certain size.
That's right. It isn't. And I think then it gets to
the passive income thing. You see this on social media. Buy property as passive income. There's no real passive business out there.
No, you still have to work on it. You know, you can get it to a point. I mean,
like you've got it to a point now.
I'm a full believer. Yeah, I'm a full believer in you buy a property at the right price. You know, I've never overpaid for property, even in the market that we've just had.
Yeah.
I've never overpaid, and I've underpaid in the vast majority of circumstances in situations. I spend enough money to make that property look really attractive, but I don't go overboard. I don't get fancy taps. I don't put chandeliers in. I don't do all those kind of things that you just don't need to do. I repair a lot of the stuff that's in there, and it looks just as good as if it was brand new. And I always say to myself, you know, if I'm in B&Q and I start pulling off a mixer tap with the bit that comes off the end and you can turn it into a hose pipe and all those kind of things, I'll sort of think, well, that would look really nice, but what am I trying to do here? I'm trying to provide good quality, affordable accommodation, which is warm, secure, as cheap as possible to run. And I'm trying to do that for people who are stretched. They're always stretched. Yeah. Tenants are, you know, they're paying huge rents these days. The market for rentals, we all know, has just gone through the roof. And so I try to remember what it is, what my own personal mission is. It's not a written mission, it's just in my mind. I'm just trying to provide people with good quality, affordable property. And that makes a profit for me every month. Yeah. And I have my minimum profit format. And I know what I need to produce on a monthly basis. But every single property, when one of my tenants moves in, there is nothing wrong with that property. It is perfect. And so I don't get the phone calls.
Yeah.
I don't get the problems. I get a couple. Yeah. But generally, the more work you do up front on making that property look good, and the more work you do assessing the kind of tenant that's going to come into that property, equals how passive that income actually is.
And isn't that the same for any sort of income generating product? If you put the work in advance, build a correct foundation to lay the investment on, so that can be pension investment or property, you know that if that foundation is sturdy at the start, what you build on that is going to be okay. And there's less work to be done in the future on it.
Yeah, 100%. And I believe your profit on a property, I've had conversations with friends and clients who say, well, does it really matter if you're buying a property 15 grand over or 20 grand over when you know in 10 years' time it's going to be worth X amount on top? And there's a point to that, but I always believe that your profit is made on day number one when you walk into that. Yeah, of course. You know, your profit is made when you walk into it, not when you sell it. Yeah. You know, and that determines. But it also determines what your profit is going to look like on a monthly basis. Your cash flow. It's going to determine how much additional equity you've got in that property over a period of time, so you can borrow against to keep financing your portfolio. So it's really, really important to buy at the right price in any market.
Are you buying to pen drops? Are you buying to rent or flip, or is there a mixture?
Rent, always to rent.
Always rent.
Yeah, I've done the odd flip, but it's not my game really.
So you're playing the long game.
Yeah. I mean, for me, if I buy a property, there's so much effort and tears and heartache goes into buying that property to then do it up and sell it. Yeah. I think, what am I going to do? I'm going to use that money to then buy another one. I may as well just rent it. I did buy a property last year. And I think I paid 185 grand for it. And it took 5 months to go through because it was in probate, and the market was really rocketing. And it needed, I think I spent less than 5 grand on it. And the agent phoned me the day I put the key into the door. I stepped onto the mat to assess, right, what's going on here? Let's have a look what needs doing. They said, if you bring the keys back now, we can sell that same property for 240 grand. I mean, I say, what's that, 55 grand profit, 65 grand profit, whatever it is. Yeah. we can do that. And I thought, well, and I said to her, well, if I keep the property, it's still worth that. And I'm making the money on it, and it's only going to increase. And since then, it's increased to 280 grand in value. I mean, it'll probably come down a bit now with the market.
Far too many, though, would see the pound signs and go, yeah, it's a 65 grand.
But what are you going to do with the money? For me, I'm just going to put it back into property. I'm not going to buy a Range Rover with it.
Isn't this the big thing about money and understanding and happiness and all that people are, if they don't know their numbers, they're driven by, I know it sounds wrong, greed, because they're always trying to chase that money. And getting 600 quid a month is not as good as getting 65 grand because it's a one-off. But when you get that 65 grand, if you pay any tax or whatever, and it goes into your account, within 10 minutes you go, right, what can I spend on?
Again.
Another one. So I get it, but it's a hard thing not to go to the estate agents. There you go. And many people probably would do that.
I mean, I got over that many moons ago. I sold a property once. In fact, I sold 3 or 4 properties, and it was the hardest thing I ever did. And then going back and seeing, the very first house I bought, which cost me 51,000 quid, came back up on the market for 145 grand a few years ago. And I was like, do I buy it? And I've got a few houses in that particular street. So it would have made sense to buy that same house. And I just couldn't bring myself to paying 3 times more than I'd bought that house for originally, which I lived in. It was my very first house, which I borrowed money on the MBNA credit card to pay the deposit on. But I just couldn't bring myself to do it. But I wish I had now, because that house is worth 200 grand. So I would have made 55 grand profit on that. But
I look back.
I always remember the ones I didn't get. I always remember the ones I didn't get. Even when I drive past them now, I'm like, can't believe I missed out on that one.
Brilliant.
You seem to know your numbers, and I know you've been working in finance for so long. But are you at a stage now where it is financial freedom? You know what you want and what everything costs, and you build your life around that, so that you have the lifestyle that you, your wife, and the kids want.
Yeah, sure. And within reason. I don't have a super yacht and a helicopter
yet.
No, and I wouldn't buy one anyway. I just buy more properties. But for me, it's all about being able to wake up in the morning and do what I want to do. Whether I want to stay in bed, whether I want to go for breakfast, or whether I want to do some work is that's my decision. And for me, getting to a certain point, which I call financial freedom in my blogs that I do, financial freedom to me is being able to wake up on the first of the month and knowing that by the end of the month, enough money residual income is going to fall into your bank account that is going to be able to pay all of the bills on your property and allow you enough money left over to have a reasonable lifestyle. And when I say reasonable lifestyle, I don't mean flying around in private jets. I'm talking about a reasonable lifestyle that a normal family would expect to be able to live, going on a couple of holidays and being able to buy clothes for your kids if they need them, and
do the nice things at Christmas, go for the nice meals if you want to do it, treat the kids.
And that was so once I'd achieved that, everything from that point on is just a bonus.
Yes.
And I don't think I'll ever stop doing what I'm doing. I don't think I ever will. I'll just keep on building it. But they'll get. I'm sure I'll get to a point where I think, well, I just can't be bothered. I'll just stay as I am.
You have that choice.
Yeah. But I think it's out of knowing I don't want to have to go out and buy everything. It's keeping my lifestyle to a minimal cost. It's being debt free. It's being I was telling you earlier about running around my house checking how much kilowattage each item uses, and just being on the best utility plans, being on the best mobile phone plans, all of those little things make a difference. And don't think for 1 minute I go out there. I don't go out for dinner with a voucher code, have 2 glasses of water, and have a free thing. I don't do that, because the money I save elsewhere allows me to enjoy those things that we should all enjoy.
Yeah.
But I hate wasting money on things. I hate wasting money.
Yeah. I get that.
Throwing money away, gambling, spending £500 on fireworks rather than 50 quid on fire. I just don't see the point. I don't see the point,
No, same.
And it doesn't change your life. And it's, if you're going to have, again, one of the things I always teach my clients is, before you start investing, stop buying shit that you don't need. Get rid of the crap that you don't need. if your car's on finance, and my car's on finance, my car's rented, but if your car's on finance, sell it, get rid of it, buy something cheaper, use the spare cash to put into the bank, get a second job. Well, I work really hard as is. I don't care. Get a second job.
Yeah.
You know, if you've got one income, you've got a problem. You know, you need 2, 3, 4, 5 incomes, whether they be £50 a month, £500 a month, or £10,000 a month.
Yeah.
You know, if you've got one income, you're only one income away from bankruptcy. Yeah.
100%.
So I try to teach everybody to do the preparation work before. You know, you wouldn't go and play in the FA Cup final when you've never played football before. You have to do a certain amount of practice beforehand.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's really my ethos around investing in property.
That's good. I like that. Which 99% of these people who are teaching it online don't teach any of that stuff.
No.
They don't know any of that stuff. Because they don't. They've never really done it.
They haven't lived
themselves.
it.
They haven't done it.
They haven't lived it.
And that's the thing. And that's the one thing we preach, and it's the danger I see out there, is that social media and the world is full of, I call them shysters, because that's what they are. Do you know what I mean? They've never really done it. And, you know, it's the ones who don't publicise it so much are the ones that you want to be speaking to, like yourself. Do you know what I mean? You're not the one who's on social media all the time.
I don't know, I'm quite active.
Yeah, in the way they do. Do you know what I mean? In the kind of, in the manner that they do it.
Yeah. No, I'm not in a sort of
promoting courses.
I don't have a sort of machine format of. I just do as I feel.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
I wouldn't want to be chained down to having a marketing company sat behind me and having to produce so many posts per day and collect all the results in and monitor at the end of the month. That's not for me. That's not for me. I'd just rather do it as I feel.
And that's kind of it. Cool. So what's next? Portugal.
What's next? Yeah, so we're off to the Sun next year for a few months to test out the lifestyle, test out the schools, and sort of the plan is to be just as free as possible and to be able to be free to travel. School dependent with the kids. We'll see how that works. If it does work, if it works, then who knows? I need to be close to an airport so I can get back and forth home for other commitments I've got.
Yeah.
But as long as I can jump on a plane and get where I need to be really quickly, I'm pretty much free. So, and you know, we can do everything on our mobile. 99% of everything I do is on my mobile phone.
You can't you?
You know,
Do you know what I mean?
1% of what I do is on my laptop these days. So, you know, how free do you want to be? So that's what it's about for me. It's just about pure freedom, nothing else. And it's time. You know, I stopped working because I wanted to spend more time with my family, and the byproduct of that was I created time. I didn't realize I was creating time.
Yeah.
And you know, you can buy anything you want. You can buy anything you want if you've got enough money, but you cannot buy time. And that's the most important thing. I want
100%.
to watch my kids as they grow up. I want to be present in their lives constantly, and I want them to look back and never remember me actually working. And so far, so good.
That's good.
Yeah,
I love that.
Let's hope I don't have to go out and get a job. I don't think I'd be very good at work.
I think you'll be okay.
I think you'll be all right. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Matt.
Cheers, guys. Thanks for the invite.
Thanks for listening, and if you enjoyed this episode, then please subscribe and remember to follow us on social media for more content like this.